Hello, friends. This is Alina Holmquist, Business Manager. I just want to give you an overview of the budget and discuss some budget reports. Here's the areas that we're going to cover. I'm going to start you off with the district budget cycle. Again, this is the cycle for adopting all of our funds, our general fund and our smaller funds. And it really starts in January. So I'm going to start you over here on the right-hand side with Analyze. In January, we're doing our enrollment projections for the next budget. We're in the current year, we're starting to get the state allocations based on actual, because prior to January, we're working off of budgeted numbers in the current year. Now in March, we start developing the budget. This is after the legislative session has concluded and we have some information about what we need to do. We also get our tool from OSPI to help predict the revenues. So we start doing our revenue expenditure projections. We start getting closer on our staffing projections. We're going to start getting your input, especially programs and departments that don't have a dedicated funding source that are part of basic ed and just the district-wide support. We're going to have a more formal process starting in like February, March to get input on the budget. You know, by May, we're actually finishing the budgets for the smaller funds. And so ASB will be reaching out to you probably, you know, right after spring break saying, hey, we're going to need your information in early May to make that happen for the board. Now we have some legal requirements before we can adopt the budget. In August, we have to provide a notice in a newspaper for 2 weeks. We have to hold a public hearing before the board can officially adopt the budgets in August. And then we have to send some reports to the ESD and OSPI to make it official. And really, then after the budget's all adopted, starting in the beginning of the school year in September, that's when we're really implementing. We're trying to see, you know, what actually happened in comparison to the budget. And for a couple of months, we're actually working off of budget figures rather than actual from the state. So an important thing to know is that our budgets are based on a fiscal year, and our fiscal year runs September 1 through August 31st. It is not the school year, which is September through June, and it is not the calendar year, which is January through December. We use those years for other things, but not for the budget. And once that expenditure budget is adopted by the board, we need to stay within that budget. The budget cannot be exceeded unless we have a budget extension adopted prior to exceeding the budget. And so we have some of the same hoops to jump through for a budget extension as we do for adopting the budget. So it takes a little bit of time to do that. Some things that can affect your budget are prepaids and accruals. So basically a prepaid is a future expenditure. It is pushing the expenditure forward. Those are usually done in July and August. We're purchasing things, but they really benefit the next school year. For example, some consumables, like sometimes we'll do a big order of paper to have it delivered at the end of August. Well, that's really for the next school year. And so we want that expenditure to happen in the next school year. Same with subscriptions that start at the beginning of the school year or are primarily for the next school year. Now, accruals, those are basically prior expenditures. We are pushing expenditures back into the prior budget period. We're paying for things in September, but they really benefited the prior school year. So say we got everything delivered before the end of August and we just didn't get the invoice until it's September. We're going to pay that invoice in September and the expenditure is going to be posted to the prior budget period. So examples, anything that's not a consumable that gets actually delivered up through August 31. It's also for work that we do or P-card purchases on or before August 31st. So we provide some budget expenditures reports, but it's important to know the timing of when you can run them and what they mean and when I run them. So by the end of the month, we have most of our expenditures posted. We do 2 AP runs a month. These align with the board meetings that occur on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month. And we also have payroll expenditures at the end of the month. Now, we don't officially close the month until the second board meeting of basically the next month. And we get the county treasurer's report or our bank statement around middle of the month. And we need time to reconcile that, to do any billings, to make any corrections, and to update budgets. So it takes a little bit of time to actually close the month. And then we are posting monthly reports to your Google budget folder. Make sure you are utilizing that tool. And if you need the link again, just reach out to me. I'll typically try to post budget reports in the first week of the month, kind of preliminary reports, and then I will post the final reports after the month has closed. Now, building budgets can do a carryover request. So if you want to request more than 5% of your original budget, that carryover request is due to Teresa at the end of June. And feel free to submit them earlier rather than later, because we are in the midst of adopting our budgets. We actually close the fiscal year. August is the end of our fiscal year. And so it takes longer to close and print reports for August, September, and October. We're actually closing the fiscal year all the way up until the end of October. We are going to provide preliminary building budgets in late September. Your budgets are typically going to be close to what they were in the prior year. And final building budgets are provided in late October. We wait until we have the October 1 enrollment and the fiscal year is closed, where we have the true carryover and the fines and fee revenues that we add. Now, something to be aware of for 21-22 budgets, we are going to remove the 0113 curriculum allocation. The Amplify kits are being done, I think, by the ESD now, so that money is not going to be put in the building budgets. And then we are also removing the copier and maintenance lease funding and expenditures from the building budget because of GASB 87 on leases. We have to record those differently. We're still going to have the copier overage hit the building budget, though, because that's something that you're going to get an average put in your budget, and then you are responsible for the actual costs on those. Things that can adjust your budgets, those would be budget transfers. Basically, you are redistributing the budget that you have. It doesn't increase your budget, it just moves it around. And we have a budget transfer request form on our employee resources webpage for that. I would love to get that process automated, so maybe that's something we'll explore. Then quarterly, we review your donations, gifts, and commission revenue. And those types of things do increase your budget. If you let me know what budget you'd like increased, I will do that. And if you don't, I will default to your holding account. And there is a gifts, donations request form out on our employee resources website for you to use. We do prefer that for budget transfers and donations that you use the forms with the principal's approval. However, if we're in a bind, we'll also take an email with the principal copied on that. There is a building budget reconciliation worksheet out on the Google budget folder as well. I like to call it the BBR. And what that does is it takes your original building budget and shows you all the transactions that got you to the revised budget that shows on your building budget expenditure reports. So we do have a bunch of budgetary data mining reports, and you have access to run the same reports that I run at any time. You know, I just provide the reports so that I know that something is getting run, but also so that you can reconcile and match. Sometimes code access changes the results, and so it's important to be checking this periodically and reconciling. You can get to your budgetary data mining reports by going to Skyward, Financial Management, Account Management Reporting, and Budgetary Data Mining. And I've got a quick little visual here. Now, if you don't want to run a report, you can use the full account code to look at the transactions through the chart of account. You just have to type the full account code in the field at the bottom right to do the search. So that would be like 10E530, then the program code, etc. I do plan to review and run reports on a regular basis and discuss them with your administrator. All business secretaries have these building budgets reports for the general fund. And the budget expenditure history, like once we add the building budgets, once we say that those have been updated for the new school year, you can use this report for your like initial budget transfer, to allocate the budget where you want it. We're not going to spend a lot of time allocating your budget. We really work on a bottom line budget, but if you want to be more specific and put it in the proper account codes, that is up to you. And we provide a tool here for you to do that a little bit easier. Now, any of these reports can be cloned and modified for other purposes. And we're going to probably start having some trainings on Friday afternoons, optional trainings that you can attend to learn more about budgets and reports. We have also cloned and created some ASB budgetary data mining, thanks to Kim Lillisgar. All business secretaries also have access to these ASB reports, and there's some details. And as always, please let us know if you have questions or you need help with anything. Thank you so much.